Ever feel that 3 p.m. slump and just have to grab something sweet? Or maybe you feel like you're just constantly fighting off sugar cravings? That's not just about willpower. It's often a sign of a hidden battle happening inside your body over its fuel. In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most important health topics out there today, insulin resistance.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at how your body's fuel system is supposed to work, because it's pretty brilliant. Then, we'll see what happens when that system breaks down. After that, we'll get into how to read the body's warning lights, and we'll finish up with a whole toolkit of things you can do to take back control.
All right, first up, your body's fuel system. Before we get into what goes wrong, we've got to understand the absolutely amazing way our bodies are designed to handle energy in the first place. And it all starts with our food.
So that fuel is called glucose. Think of it as premium gasoline for your body. When you eat things with carbohydrates, from bread and pasta to fruits and veggies, your body breaks it down into this simple sugar. Then it zips through your bloodstream, ready to power literally everything you do.
But how does that glucose get from the blood into the cells? Well, this is where it gets really elegant. Your body has this amazing key and lock system. Your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. That's the key. Insulin travels to your cells, finds a special lock on the cell door, and click, the door swings open and the glucose rushes in to be used for energy. When it's working right, it's just a beautiful, seamless process.
But what happens when the key starts to get worn down and it doesn't fit in the lock anymore? This is where we run into insulin resistance, a condition that, believe it or not, now affects more than half the adults in the US. So let's see how this perfect system can start to break down.
And right here, this is the heart of the issue. In a healthy body, your cells are sensitive to insulin. The key slides right into the lock, no problem. But with insulin resistance, that lock gets all sticky and gummed up. The cell starts to ignore the insulin key, and so the glucose, it gets locked out. It's stuck floating around in your bloodstream, where it can cause all sorts of trouble.
This quote from Stanford's Health Education Center just nails what happens next. The cell basically can't hear insulin's message anymore. So your pancreas, sensing all this sugar still in the blood, thinks the answer is to just shout louder. It pumps out even more insulin. But the cells are just plugging their ears, ignoring the signal, leading to total chaos.
So why does this happen? It's not random. It's usually a direct result of our cells just being bombarded with too much insulin for too long. The two biggest culprits? First, a diet that's constantly high in sugary, starchy foods that spike our blood sugar. And second, eating too often. The old advice of 5 or 6 small meals a day? That means our insulin levels are always high and never get a break.
Now, when all that sugar is trapped in the bloodstream, it doesn't just float around harmlessly. It starts to bind to proteins, creating these nasty, sticky compounds. They actually have a pretty fitting name, AGs, which stands for Advanced Glycation End Products. And these AGs, they gum up the works, damaging everything from our nerves and arteries to our kidneys and even the lenses in our eyes. This is what leads to scary stuff like cataracts and neuropathy.
But here's the thing. Your body is smart. It doesn't just let this happen in silence. When your blood sugar stays high for too long, that's a state called hyperglycemia, it starts sending out some pretty clear warning lights. You just have to know what to look for.
You might start noticing things like, man, you're thirsty all the time, or you're running to the bathroom constantly. That deep, dragging fatigue we talked about, that's a huge one. But it can also show up in weirder ways, like blurry vision, or cuts and scrapes that take forever to heal. You might even get that pins and needles feeling in your hands or feet. These are all clues that your body is struggling to manage its fuel.
So how do you actually measure this stuff with data? Well, one of the most important tests is your A1C. It gives you a snapshot of your average blood sugar over the last 3 months. So a normal A1C is anything below 5.7%. If you're in the 5.7 to 6.4 range, that's considered prediabetes, kind of like the check engine light on your car's dashboard. Then 6.5% or higher is a diabetes diagnosis. And for people who are diagnosed, the American Diabetes Association sets some key goals, like you see here, to really get things under control and lower the risk of long-term damage.
Okay, now for the best part of this whole explainer. I know this can all sound pretty serious, but the science is incredibly clear on this.
insulin resistance is often reversible. We have a whole toolkit of powerful, actionable strategies that can help your body get its insulin sensitivity back and put you firmly in the driver's seat of your own health.
So, what is the single most powerful food you can eat to lower your insulin levels? The answer might surprise you. As you see here, it's nothing. Seriously. Every single time we eat, no matter what it is, our insulin goes up. So, by simply eating less often, maybe cutting out the constant snacking and just sticking to meals, we give our insulin levels a chance to finally fall. This gives ourselves a much-needed break so they can become sensitive again.
All right, next up, let's focus on what you're eating. The goal is to shift toward foods that barely make a peep on the insulin radar. I'm talking about healthy fats like olive oil and avocados, quality protein from things like wild-caught salmon and eggs. Fun fact, avocados are also packed with potassium, an electrolyte that actually helps your pancreas do its job better. These foods keep you full and your blood sugar rock solid.
Oh, you're gonna love this one. This is an incredible hack that can cut a meal's glucose spike by up to 75% without changing a single thing you eat. It's all about the order. You start with your vegetables first. The fiber creates this kind of protective net in your gut. Then, you eat your protein and fats to slow down digestion even more. And you save your starches and sugars for the very end. It's that simple.
And that leads us to a really easy rule to remember. Never eat a carbohydrate naked. You gotta put some clothing on it. That just means adding protein, fat, or fiber to slow down that sugar rush. So, if you're gonna have an apple, have it with some almonds. Eating rice, make sure it's with some chicken and broccoli. This one little change makes a massive difference.
Want another super simple hack? How about cutting a meal's glucose spike by 30% with one cheap ingredient? It's true. Research shows that just 1 tablespoon of vinegar, any kind will do, in a glass of water before you eat can do just that. The acetic acid in the vinegar actually slows down the enzymes that break down starches. It's wild.
And finally, let's talk about your secret weapon, your muscles. Think of your muscles as giant glucose sponges. After you eat, they're just sitting there, waiting to soak up any extra sugar from your bloodstream. So go for a quick 10-minute walk after a meal. Clean the kitchen. Even just doing some calf raises at your desk works. Using your muscles within about 90 minutes of eating tells them to sop up all that glucose.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Your body is in constant communication with you. It's sending you signals all day long through your energy levels, your hunger, your cravings. After everything we've talked about today, just take a moment to really listen. If your cells could actually talk, what would they be telling you right now? They're giving you all the data you need to take back control and to truly thrive.